Hi, this is Erik Kramer-Webb with the California Climbing School. I'm here with my friend Tiowa Reynolds, and we're going to show you a couple different ways to lower someone down from the top of a cliff. So I'm belaying my buddy from the top. I've got an ATC guide here that's in direct belay mode, and I'm clove hitched into the master point of my anchor. And the first thing I want you to know when you're lowering someone down from the top, it's tough to get it slow and smooth. It tends to be kind of jerky. So the best way to get it smooth, I think, is to have a neat stack of rope right at your feet, not coming off from one of the side or the other, but right at your feet. And if it's stacked neatly, then it should smoothly flow out. So let's go ahead and take a look at the system. So belay is on, Tiowa. Come on up. And why don't you go ahead and leash in with your sling on the left side. Put your carabiner over here on your side.
Okay, off belay.
Thank you. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to unclip this carabiner right here. And I'm going to take this carabiner and move it over onto the climber side. And we're going to have this carabiner here for the redirect on the brake side. So by redirecting the brake, we're creating braking power. We're locking it off. If we don't redirect it, then we have no friction whatsoever. So you want to make sure that this carabiner isn't any longer than that one to make sure that it actually does redirect the brake. And then we'll go ahead and put a backup in, which is always a good idea when you're lowering someone from the top in case you lose consciousness due to rockfall or lightning. So we'll take a 5mm rescue cord and tie a tie an auto block. So I've got 4 wraps on my auto block there, and then we'll check it. That's locking. So we're ready to go here, Tiowa, if you want to go ahead and unclip and lean back. And just step backwards until you feel it taking your weight, and let me know when you're ready to go.
Okay, ready to lower.
Alright, lowering. So then, as far as your hand motion goes, if you hold the auto block in your lower hand, and then you've got another brake hand above, I like to just grip that auto block and let it slowly feed through my hand. If you pump it, it tends to be jerky, and so just hold it in that mid-range position, not at the bottom, not at the top, right in the middle. Keep it loose in your hand and let it flow down. Okay, go ahead. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to belay and lower someone from the top with the munter hitch. So I've got a large locker here that's big enough for the munter hitch to change directions. And that locker is on the climber side since he's on the left and my carabiner's on the right. Okay, belay's on.
Climbing.
Climb on. So for the transition, your partner can leash in if they want, especially if it's a precarious stance and they want to lean back. If they're on a fat ledge like this, you can just go ahead and just add the backup without even having them leash in. So I'll tie my auto block with 4 wraps, my rescue cord, clip it back into my locker on my belay loop, and then cinch him up. Alright, why don't you go ahead and lean back on it and let me know when you're ready.
Ready to lower.
Lowering. So the munter hitch pops over, as you saw. You can always warn them if your partner's freaking out. You can let them know, pop, and then lower them down. Once again, just have that auto block in your hand so you can smoothly release it. Okay, so now I'm going to do a direct belay with a Gri-Gri right onto the anchor, and I do prefer to set it up with the handle on the outside. If you have the handle to the inside, there's the potential that the handle can interact with the rock and make it difficult for you to use the handle. So the belay is on, and so it's really easy to belay someone. And then for the lower, what you can do is you can take a redirect carabiner and put it on the brake side, and then take the brake strand, bring it underneath the Gri-Gri so it's on that rounded flange, and then redirect that brake strand into your new locker Lock it down and go ahead and lean back on it. And then let me know when you're ready.
Okay, ready to lower.
Okay, lowering. So I'm going to pull from the top like this, lowering, and release it. So that's one way to do it. Another way to do it would be to get your elbow into your hip bone and push up like this. It can be quite a lot of force on the handle, depending what kind of Gri-Gri. This is the Gri-Gri Plus. It's actually really easy to release, but the other Gri-Gris tends to be a lot of gripping power to release it. So that's one downside. It can help you if you're having a hard time releasing it to climb up a little higher. And I'm not quite high enough, but if I could get just a little bit higher and lower from here, lowering, that can be the easiest way to do it. Okay, so now I'm going to show you a kind of an old school way to belay that we don't do as often anymore, and it's the redirected belay. So we've got the climber strand coming up to a locker on the master point, and then coming down to my ATC, which is on my harness. And the downside here is if my partner falls and I get slammed into the rock, unless I have my foot braced, okay? The other downside is when he falls, there's more force that goes onto the anchor than in any of the other situations that we've shown. So really, you don't want to use this method unless the anchor is robust and you as the belayer weigh more than the climber, okay? All right, belay's on.
Okay, climbing.
Climb on. So then for the transition to the lower, they can leash in if it's a insecure stance. If it's a ledge like this, maybe they don't need to leash in. We can go ahead and add the backup with the 4-wrap auto block. And this time I've got the auto block on my leg loop to create a little separation to keep the auto block low so that the auto block doesn't reach my ATC. Okay, so I'll tension them up. All right, Tyler, go ahead and give me your weight and let me know when you're ready.
Okay, ready to lower.
Okay, lowering. And so if the person weighs enough, you're going to have to keep that foot braced so that you don't get slammed into the wall. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to lower your partner down if you're belaying with an ATC guide in the direct belay mode, or if you're using a reverso or similar type of plaquette device. So let's say that my partner falls, so go ahead and lean back, Taiwa, and let's say that he needs some slack. If he just needs a little bit of slack, I could pump this carabiner right here, the blocking carabiner, and I could give him an inch at a time. It's not very much, but at least that's quick. You see, it's hard to give slack in this type of system. So I'm going to show you progressively more complicated ways to give more slack. So if that's not enough slack, then we could take a small carabiner with a nose small enough that it's going to fit inside of your release hole right there. And probably want to get a backup going onto your belay loop with an auto block. 4 wraps again, because things can get out of hand quickly here. You can lose control. Okay. All right. So the other thing is, are you strong enough to pull this back? Okay. If the climber's really heavy, lowering. If they're really heavy, you won't even be able to do this, or it's so uncomfortable on your hand that there's a limit to how far you want to lower someone like this because of how uncomfortable it is, or maybe you can't even do it at all. All right. So let's say that's not enough, then we can go ahead and redirect with a double length sling, and we can clip it in here and go into the shelf for our redirect, and then come back to our belay loop. And then my attachment with my clove hitch is too tight, so I need to give myself some slack here. So when I lean back, I'm not leaning on my own rope. I want to lean back on that redirect sling here. And then I could be ready to go, so I'll show you this one here. You ready?
Ready to lower.
Okay, lowering, so lean back. Get the foot up and release. Now you still could lose control potentially, so if you want to have even more braking power, then I would recommend taking another redirect carabiner. This one is going to be a locker, and put it on the shelf also. I have it on the opposite side of the shelf there. And so we've got a redirect for the brake, because if you think about it, once we redirect this up here, you don't have any braking power unless the brake strand comes up again. Okay, so let's go ahead and lean back on it, please. All right, are you ready?
Ready to lower.
Lowering. And that's the safest way to do it right there.